Week 5 is behind us. Week 6 up next on the docket. We got matchups, fantasy picks to pop. We have our game picks, and of course, rounding things out with our storylines. Let's hit the intro.
Perfect.
Before we hop into things, subscribe to support the channel, and of course, get the bell on to know every single time I'm dropping a video. And with that out of the way, it's on to the content. Let's start things off right, hitting our matchups first. The Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Baltimore Ravens. In this one, we have a lot to look forward to. Look, the Los Angeles Chargers are walking into this matchup incredibly hot, leading the AFC West, the entire division right now, at the mercy of the Chargers, which is pretty crazy. The Kansas City Chiefs have not been able to get out of their own way, have been stumbling so far throughout this season, and the Los Angeles Chargers right now in the driver's seat, looking to maintain that momentum, and if they can get another big win against this now AFC North leading Baltimore Ravens squad, that could mean a lot for this LA Chargers team that, again, is just trying to maintain dominance over the rest of their division and prove that they are here to stay. And for the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson is coming off of a huge Monday Night Football game against the Indianapolis Colts, where he put up some superb and franchise record-setting numbers. So for the Baltimore Ravens, there's a lot at stake in this one as they try to maintain their lead in the AFC North, as well as showcase that they are a strong and consistent squad. A 22-point comeback is nothing to scoff at, but for the Baltimore Ravens trying to slow down this red-hot Los Angeles Chargers passing attack, it's going to be a huge effort that their secondary as a whole is going to have a big part of. Next matchup, the Arizona Cardinals heading into Cleveland to take on the Browns. We have a lot of offense and some strong pass rush from both of these squads. Spotlighting the Arizona Cardinals first, they're the final undefeated team remaining in this NFL season with a tough win over the in-division rival San Francisco 49ers last week. This week, I think the Cardinals are trying to come out and display some more dominant behavior that we've seen out of them so far this season. The defense has played well. The offense has been chef's kiss, superb, and they're just trying to keep that ball rolling. Obviously, nobody wants to lose, so the Arizona Cardinals right now in the driver's seat in not just the NFC and the NFC West, but the entire NFL. For the Cleveland Browns, it's trying to regain some ground on the Baltimore Ravens. Both the Browns and the Bengals last week walked in tied for first place in the division and left in second place. So the Cleveland Browns need a big win here to just try to gain some ground back on the Baltimore Ravens and try to show that, hey, this is a good squad that's not going to just be a wild card team. They're trying to win the division. The AFC as a whole is pretty wide open, and I'm going to touch on that one a little bit more later in our storyline segment, but the Cleveland Browns have a lot going for them, both sides of the football. You've got some superb pass rush by Myles Garrett. Offensively, you've got Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt that have just been dominating defenses, and of course, the offensive passing game is still getting going as well. So the Cleveland Browns have a lot going for them. If they can get a big win over the Arizona Cardinals, that could mean a lot for the Dog Pound. The final matchup I wanted to spotlight, the Buffalo Bills taking on the Tennessee Titans. For Buffalo, coming into this matchup, they are absolutely rolling right now on the offensive side of things. The passing game has been tearing apart opposing defenses. Josh Allen's considered an MVP candidate in some circles, and the weapons that he has, Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, have all been playing really, really well so far this season, as well as Dawson Knox, who has a touchdown in every game this season. The running game also getting going with Zach Moss and company. So the Buffalo Bills have a lot going for them walking into this matchup. And for the Tennessee Titans, their offense is still circled around King Derrick Henry. Nobody has been able to stop Derrick Henry for the last 3 years. Derrick Henry right now is the NFL's leading rusher, in even second place in the NFL in rushing yards and yards after contact. That man does not go down easy, and they're going to be leaning on him once again in this matchup against a pretty well-rounded Buffalo Bills defense. For the Tennessee Titans, the biggest aspect of their offense they're trying to work on is just opening up the passing game. A.J. Brown and Julio Jones have been dealing with some injuries, so hopefully having them back for this matchup is going to be huge for the Tennessee Titans offense. And the defense has a huge task as one of the, worst secondaries in the NFL, trying to slow down that passing game. I'm going to probably dive into that a little bit more during our pick segment, but a tough task for Tennessee, but still 2 playoff level teams in this one. Moving on from our matchups, let's take a look at our fantasy picks to pop for this week. Number 1 up on the docket, I've got running back Darrell Williams for the Kansas City Chiefs, taking over the role left behind by Clyde Edwards-Helaire as he deals with an MCL sprain. Washington's defense is his first opponent, more than likely going to be the starter heading into this matchup. I think Williams is just going to have a lot of opportunities both in the offensive passing game as well as a lot of goal line situations and third downs, because his offense still revolves around the pass. But Williams is going to see a heavier load of the snap share coming out of the backfield. I think if you're a fantasy owner that's a little bit, unsure of the running back situation heading into this week, maybe you lost Saquon Barkley, maybe you got Mike Davis going into bye week, Darrell Williams should be a guy that you consider starting. If you're not even considering starting him, you honestly probably shouldn't. Next man up, I got Trevor Lawrence, quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, taking on a Miami defense that is allowing the 7th most passing yards in the NFL and the 3rd most points in the NFL. Pretty unlike Brian Flores' defense-first culture, but the offense just can't seem to stay on the field. So Jacksonville's going to have a lot of opportunities to spread the ball around, and Trevor Lawrence is going to have a lot of opportunities to put up points and get the ball into the hands of his playmakers. I think Trevor Lawrence, if you're a little bit unsure at quarterback this week, should be the guy you start. And the final player I wanted to spotlight, tight end Jared Cook for the Los Angeles Chargers, taking on the Baltimore Ravens this upcoming week. The Baltimore Ravens are surrendering the 3rd most points to tight ends in fantasy this season, allowing almost 20 points to tight ends. I think Jared Cook's going to be really heavily involved in the offensive passing game for the Chargers. I expect him to have at least 10 points on the day. Fantasy out of the way, let's move on to our picks. First things first, Miami and Jacksonville. Miami's offense has just been sputtering without Tua Tagovailoa and was honestly kind of uninspiring even with them on the field. I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars in this matchup. I think Miami's offense just is going to lose the time of possession battle. Jacksonville's just going to have a lot more opportunities to score. Minnesota and the Carolina Panthers. This one was almost making my cut for marquee matchups, but still, really good matchup in this one. I'm going to give the nod to Minnesota here. I think their pass rush is going to have a big day against Sam Darnold and company. So, like I said, picking the Vikings. Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Baltimore Ravens. This one's going to be a big offensive battle, like I mentioned, but I think I'm going to lean in the favor of the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to take the head coaching experience from John Harbaugh in this one. The Los Angeles Rams and the New York Giants. The Giants lost basically their entire offense against the Cowboys last week. Give me the Los Angeles Rams in a blowout. Houston and the Indianapolis Colts. The Houston Texans had a pretty good game against the Patriots last week, but I don't know if they're going to be able to repeat that performance. Give me the Colts in an easy win. Kansas City going into Washington. The Chiefs really need a win, and I think they're going to find it this week against Washington. Give me the Chiefs. Green Bay taking on the Chicago Bears. Pretty simple, straightforward. Give me the Green Bay Packers. Cincinnati and Detroit. I like this matchup a lot for Joe Burrow and company. Jamar Chase fantasy owners are going to be really excited about this one. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals. Arizona and Cleveland. I think Arizona is going to keep the ball rolling. Moving on to 6-0. Give me the Cardinals. Dallas at New England. I think Dak Prescott and company are just going to be way too much of an offensive juggernaut. Give me the Dallas Cowboys. Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Denver Broncos. The Raiders have a lot going on right now off the field. I think there's going to be a lot of distractions. Give me the Denver Broncos in this one. Seattle and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sunday Night Football. No Russell Wilson is going to make this decision pretty easy. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers. Finally, Monday Night Football. Buffalo taking on the Tennessee Titans. I think the Buffalo Bills are just going to demolish the Titans secondary, honestly. Give me the Buffalo Bills in a pretty easy one. Our picks out of the way. The final segment, storylines. The AFC as a whole is kind of wide open right now. With Kansas City stumbling so far to start the season, there are a lot of teams that have an opportunity to capitalize on that. And to basically assume the number 1 seed in the AFC moving forward. The Buffalo Bills in the AFC East have pretty much the entire division on lockdown, and they are not only just dominating inside their division, but they're dominating other playoff level teams right now. Give me the Buffalo Bills to do really well the rest of the season, but outside of Buffalo, you still got Baltimore, you've still got Cleveland, who are playing really, really well out of the AFC North. And Cincinnati's been pretty surprising so far. And then you've got the Tennessee Titans that are still a playoff level team looking to get healthy down the stretch. And the Los Angeles Chargers playing at an incredibly high level so far as well. So the AFC as a whole is pretty wide open. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen these next few weeks. Maybe the Chiefs are going to start to rally. Who knows? But right now, the AFC is wide open. It's just a storyline we're going to have to keep our eyes on. I also want to take a look at the budding MVP race. We have 5 weeks in the rear view mirror, and we've got some clear-cut favorites for the MVP so far. You've got, well, Tom Brady out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's got 14 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, leading the league in passing yards. Kyler Murray leading the Arizona Cardinals to 5-0 so far, has been playing incredibly sound football, honestly, making a lot of really good decisions, putting the Arizona Cardinals in a great spot in a lot of those games. Derrick Henry leading the NFL in rushing yards, monster touchdowns, and what have you. And then even Justin Herbert deserves to be in the conversation, as new head coach Brandon Staley has basically given the Chargers a great opportunity to not only just be successful inside of the regular season, but heck, this team keeps this up, they could be really dangerous come the postseason. So those are my MVP favorites so far. I even mentioned, Josh Allen earlier in the video, and he could even be an MVP candidate as well. So the race so far, pretty interesting. I mean, even last year, do you remember Russell Wilson was the favorite going into week 6? There's still a lot of football left to play, but the MVP race conversation has begun. And the final storyline I want to spotlight is the Las Vegas Raiders. John Gruden stepping down after a series of leaked emails revealed a lot of very, unsavory things. I don't want to go into details on that. I'm sure you can very well find it on your own. But new interim head coach Rich Bisaccia, I believe is how you say his name, is going to be taking over. And the Raiders start off the season really, really well, right? 3-0 to start the season. They dropped the last couple of games with a lot of media distraction surrounding the Las Vegas Raiders. How are they going to bounce back and just proceed through the rest of the season, right? It's going to be an interesting story to keep our eyes on. If the Raiders even still pick up some wins despite all this drama, that's going to be really interesting. And if they just falter, I mean, obviously we're not going to talk about them as much, but it's just a really interesting situation that we should be paying a lot more attention to. But with all that out of the way, thank you so much for watching the video. All my social media is down in the description below, so go ahead, go give me a follow, like, comment, share, subscribe, and of course get the bell on to know every single time I'm dropping a video. My name is Tristan Blake Rines. I'm going to catch you in the next one. Adios.